the Jamaica Labour Party's governance, that they would not have served a good 9 years, and that is why they're deserving of an opportunity to take over in government. And I believe the major clashes in this debate were really hinged much on investment. You heard a lot of talk about investment. But the true question that I have to ask the Jamaican people, are you guys feeling the impact of all this investment talk that has been made? So, in essence, both parties delivered their fair bit of contribution. The burden may not have been fulfilled to its greatest, but on my scorecard, I'd say I see a lot of the talk going in favor of the Jamaica Labour Party.
For this debate?
That is correct.
Is it that you believe they answered the question better, or you heard more of their policy intention from the answers given?
I believe from the major clashes, that being from education, technology, wages and health, the Jamaica Labour Party would have edged the People's National Party on 3 of those, which I will say are education, technology and wages. The People's National Party, in my opinion, I think they would have taken health, but it's something that you must take into consideration what they're trying to get across to the people in terms of policy. They'd have examined past policy and how it was implemented.
Right.
And it must be acknowledged that over the course of the past 20 years, with movement from Jamaica Labour Party governance to People's National Party governance, there has been a very stiff clash in terms of providing policy enactment to the Jamaican people.
Okay. Let me hear what your scorecard is saying now, Ronaldino, since we heard a little bit from Tariq.
Yeah, so I'm going to disagree with Tariq a little bit on what the burdens were.
Yes.
Because I don't think, being the party in power, that all that the Jamaica Labour Party has to do is to convince people that they've done good for the past 9 years. Indeed, it's entirely possible that they've done really well the past 9 years and they have nothing further to contribute, and so they could just hand over power to the PNP now. I think I think their burden was to explain why they should get another 5 years in office.
Right.
And the burden of the PNP is to explain why we should change.
Right.
And so when I adjudicate the debate, I've already told you that I think on content, it was extremely deficient from both sides. But on certain key issues, on education and on housing in particular, where I thought the PNP's manifesto, in my view, was strongest, on those key issues, I heard interesting proposals from the People's National Party, where in many key issues I heard on this business of proposing things, on this business of policy making, I heard it lacking from the Jamaica Labour Party. So on that note, and also slightly on stylistically, I'll give the win to the People's National Party tonight. But I don't think it was any significant win. I think that the Jamaica Labour Party really needs to complete its argument. And by complete its argument, I mean there are lots of achievements to show, and they did go through many of those achievements tonight. But that's not all you have to do to convince people that you need to stay in power for another 5 years. And the PNP is really working hard to talk about the deficiencies in healthcare and so on. I mean, I didn't give much credence to Mr. Price pointing out that the health minister wasn't there. Probably it would have made more sense if it came from their spokesperson on health on the stage. But of course, their spokesperson on health wasn't there either.
Their opposition
spokesperson wasn't there. But they still sold to the Jamaican people. They still spoke, we would say, pathos in certain circles. They still spoke to the conditions of the people in a way that I think probably stylistically made it so that people felt more seen and heard on their side of the debate tonight.
Is there somebody who didn't show up at the debate tonight for you, Dr. Baker?
Well, in terms of the people who were physically there,
yes,
but not...
Yeah. Or who was the weakest member of the two teams, would you say?
The two teams?
Yes.
I actually... You see, I see the teams had slightly different strategies.
Yes.
So that the JLP tried to be, recount this is the fact of the situation. I was intrigued that the PNP had a kind of call and response strategy,
Yes,
which was
between
quite,
Damien and Sophia. Mhm.
and also between Sophia and Raymond, you know, and I thought that was interesting, and an attempt to kind of demonstrate that
Teamwork.
we're not just a one person show. So in that regard, and when I look at you know, Johnson Smith was the kind of moderator. Okay, yes, we may have more to do, but and in fact, I think, unfortunately, and maybe it's because of the lack, that I actually think Pernell Charles Jr. may have been the least visible, impactful person
Yes.
on that team. I mean, I heard and I can register and visualize the three people on the PNP side, but I kept waiting on Pernell to talk, to kind of put his portfolio, which is a massive portfolio, forward.
Yes.
And I don't know, was he allowed to? What, you know, did
Of
they?
course he was allowed. When he did, I think the rebuttal from Raymond Price perhaps threw him off, which is to say, I'm trying to figure out exactly what you said a while ago.
Yes.
I don't know what to do a
Yes,
rebuttal on.
yes.
But your thoughts, who is it who didn't show up, if anybody?
Giving input or take as to who the strongest speaker. In look at much of the arguments posed are issues that many citizens are discussing. So to take into account who delivered the most convincing and revealing speech to say that, yes, I am convinced that what you are selling to me, I am going to buy into it. I believe Matthew Samuda would have done that. Anyone missing from the debate? I must agree with Dr. Baker. I believe that though Mr. Pernell Charles was there in presence, in physicality, his mode of or his mode of speech after that rebuttal by Mr. Price, I think it kind of threw him off a bit. So, in all honesty, the two sides offered strong speeches, but not strong enough to suffice what the Jamaican people are expecting to hear from them.
We're coming up on a break. When we come back in the second segment, it's only half an hour discussion. And we'll be doing it not only for this debate, but for the two others to come. When we come back, we'll be delving a little bit more in some of the issues that arose in this very first debate on social issues. Please send your comments, your Ronaldino McLean. You think this particular debate will have any impact at all on what is to happen the 3rd of September? And if so, why?
Yeah, so I can't say that it will have no impact, but I don't think it will have a significant impact. Again, I don't think so. I think these debates might have significant positive impact when a lot is said that people don't already know, or you know, some idea or proposal is just so interesting or radical to completely shake people's minds. But in this debate, we got a lot that we've already heard on the campaign trail, or in Parliament, or read through the manifestos. And I know lots of people don't follow politics as much, and so you know, maybe this is the first time they will be introduced to some of that content.
Yes.
But I don't think it's any significant portion of people that will have some radical shift on.
I
the
believe,
election.
Tariq, I heard one new policy initiative,
Yes.
perhaps from Commander Johnson Smith for student loan and for the debt from student loan. Did you hear it?
Yes, and I think that will have a vast impact on youth and youth voters, particularly those university students. I think looking back at past Don Anderson poll findings, the RJR Gleaner Don Anderson poll findings, where you'd have seen youth voter apathy, rising, the increase in youth voter apathy, that is their disregard or lack of concern to voting. I believe that would have been a concerning statistic that would have emerged from the findings of the polls. And I think this directed or aimed this policy from the Jamaica Labour Party towards the university students or youth. I believe it might have an impact on them in inspiring them to get out on election day, September 3rd, to go cast their ballot for the Jamaica Labour Party.
Your thoughts on whether this will matter come 3rd of September?
Well, you see, I think, well, I don't know about 3rd of September. I suppose, because you see, I don't know that our students really experience the kind of burden of debt that, for example, students and graduates in the U.S. undergo. I'm not saying it's not a problem. So that if a young, and it's not just the about to graduate or the new graduates, it's the people who've been on the treadmill and lost the job or something and who can now get a little relief. So that group, I'd love to know how big that was. And that was one of the things that really struck me, that here is an opportunity to provide facts and figures, numbers rather than generalities. And, you know, if it means that there are, you know, 15% of the students who have been in receipt of student loan are in that position and will be freed of that by the stroke of a pen. Now, that to me is impactful.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
But it was buried in lots of other stuff.
Yes. And as Dr. Baker said that, let me come back to you, Ronaldino. In the age of misinformation, where people are increasingly not hearing the substance, but they're looking at the style.
Yes.
Who has suffered tonight because the style was just not up to par?
Yeah, so, I mean, again, so I kind of said to you that I gave the PNP, the slight edge on style. I mean, that doesn't come without some of the, like you're saying, misinformation, because, you know, we heard some falsehoods flying around during the debate. I think, though, again, on the style and the image on who has suffered, I think the PNP probably had a better unit, a more cohesive team than the JLP did. And so maybe that's why some of the issues with timing, because there were issues with timing, or some of the issues with who was to answer, who's to respond to what question when, came up. So, you know, maybe they fell short because of kind of a lack of unity and cohesion between them going up.
Right. What about the debate format now, Tariq? Do you have an issue with it, or do you like the debate format?
The debate was formatted in a way that I think is quite strange to us as debaters, national debaters.
Why?
We don't necessarily use, we use a three person per team strategy or debate style. But in terms of the way the questions are asked, I mean, it's something that's being newly incorporated, but in the style that it was, with questioning, cross-questioning, one side being able to question the other, it's new, but it's unique, and it allows, it fosters the interaction of the different members on each side to, you know, give their take and their fair share as to what they believe is best for the Jamaican people.
So that question where each party is allowed to ask the other party a question. Yes. Your thoughts on who had the most impactful question and whether the other side responded appropriately to that question, Dr. Baker? The one on the Prime Minister was on the Integrity Commission.
Yes, that was about the Integrity Commission, and I kind of said, oh no, not there again.
Why not?
Well, as I said, wrong expectations. So, okay, you know, yes, you know, that I really wasn't taken with that. I do agree that I was concerned about the absence of the opening statement and so on. But in truth and in fact, I think that was a good decision. And I think also the combination, because of the two journalists, you know, face to face, but also the ready incorporation of the social media inputs.
Yes.
I thought that really worked very smoothly, very well. I know, and you know, you had an editor, so they were able to kind of ignore the kind of obnoxious stuff that I'm sure they got. So I actually liked that. I just wish that it had a little more depth. But I like that. I would say, yeah, do it again this way, because perhaps even if it's only a 3-minute opening thing, would have just put us to sleep at the beginning.
Right. Tariq? Yes.
Yes, and in returning to a point that Dr. Baker brought up earlier, impact, I think it's important for us to note that much of the talk that's around investment by both parties, I think many Jamaicans are swayed by actually feeling the impact. So, as she said, with the university students, for instance, but just by the sign of a pen, I think many voters will be swayed in this election by the mere presence of the impact and being felt within their communities, within their reach.
Yeah.
And I think that will be ultimately what determines whether or not the Jamaica Labour Party retains government or the People's National Party takes over.
That question, yes.
I was going to just to pick up on that, because I think that, I know that the Prime Minister and others get upset with this not feeling it, but and I think they think the declarations from the platform and so on are the things. But I think I want to know that Tariq is one of the people who, whatever, you were able, you got into heart and you finished that program, and you got a job as a result, or you got, that is where the rubber hits the road. And that was a problem, I think, with it.
Right.
And I don't know, a more rapid fire kind of thing, I don't know. I mean, debates have to have formal proceedings and so on. But I think that the impact thing, they need to bring it to practicality some more. There were two, and I just felt that in a way, I think the debate spoke more to the partisans than to the undecided.
Okay. So, Ronaldino, the last question not the last one, where each team was allowed to ask questions of the next. Who you think had the strongest question, and how were the responses to each?
Yeah, so I think the JLP had the stronger question. Both questions slightly.
JLP's question?
Yeah, so
ask about taxes?
Yes. So I think both questions were misplaced.
Yes.
So the PNP's question seemed fit for the leadership debate, the PNP's question on integrity, and the JLP's question seemed fit for the debate on the. I would have much rather the JLP, touted the recent reductions in crime and then asked the PNP what will you do differently to sustain this reduction. That would have been
especially since
the
there
most.
was no question
that was been the most rhetorically
Yeah.
effective question, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But I just thought that the JLP probably tied theirs more to social issues by saying, to fund some of the proposals that you talk about in housing and education, for example, you'll need to raise taxes on people.
Okay, we're 2 minutes to go. Anybody has a burning issue you want to say before I give my 2 cents worth?
I think I'll agree.
Yeah.
Quite definitely with Ronaldinho. I believe the lack of mention to the question from the People's National Party towards the Jamaica Labour Party as relates to from the Jamaica Labour Party rather to the People's National Party as relates to them sustaining the reduction in crime. I think many Jamaicans are oblivious to the fact that if the People's National Party go into power, they'll be tasked or given the duty to continue steering the country along the path that it is currently going or headed as relates to the reduction of crime, which is a big thing and a major thing that has come off Jamaica within the past 20 years.
Other than the numbers, also on the other side, where, on the basis of intelligence, one goes out and shoots 3 people.
Yes.
Because if we're going to talk about judicial systems and so on, which is the backdrop of the backdrop, you can't be judge, jury, and executioner.
Right.
And it feeds an attitude that says, if I say something, it's as good as.
Thank you guys so much. Well, for me this evening, the clear winner of the debate was the People's National Party. I think Matthew Samuda was extremely strong, sturdy hand. He needed 2 other team members. They just didn't show up tonight. I think on style, rebuttal, presence, and All of the other matters that are supposed to come to a debate like this, the People's National Party, they brought it. I will do fact check on the issues, but in an age where there are so many bits of information that is told that is not true, you have to ensure that you go for the jugular, you're present and you're on the ball with the responses. And I think that really came for the GLP only from Matthew Samuda. He was 2 people short this evening. Join us again next Tuesday when we will have another post-debate analysis.